growing up, I just remember it as a really dark time. Do you know, like there was all the conflict going on in the north. Really, really desperately ill with it. Like I was at home for a good week before I ended up thinking I think I need to go to the hospital, and I definitely did. I started drinking then. You know, like I wouldn't have been, going out drinking because I was only 14, but
Yeah.
I did sneak drink different times and got drunk, and it just started off a very bad cycle in my life then. So during that oration that night, I just had this huge moment of, you need to set up this group a group for Catholic mothers, because this is before that it was like that just our friends, whereas it became abundantly clear that there was a huge need for this.
If you want to help us spread the word of the Lord, please subscribe to our channel, tap the notification button, and
Like, comment, and spread the good news.
God bless. Hello, Sinead.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, very good. Sinead, we met you in a very, I would say, this orientated place in our heads, at least at the time.
Yeah.
In the pilgrimage in Lochderg.
Yes, it's so funny. I've been thinking about that different times. How we ended up meeting there. In Lochderg, sleep deprived and starved.
Yeah.
Well, I was
No,
busy.
we were.
Yeah, with the tiredness, but it was great. We were going in, I think, was it the Saturday?
Saturday
Yeah.
day.
We were going in for tea, and I think yous were in before me, so we were in the first sitting, racing in the door, and I saw the two of you sitting at a table, and yous looked, yous were sitting beside each other, and I thought, right, I'll just go to this next table. I'll not sit, on top of these two. And the woman was like, no, sit here. And she was really strict.
Oh, she was.
So wasn't she? Like,
Yeah.
and she just made us. So me and the other ladies, Geraldine and Marcella, I think maybe, from the Catholic Mothers pilgrimage, we sat down and ended up getting chatting to yous. It was definitely one of those God moments afterwards. All of us, individually and together, we were all like, no, we were meant to sit there.
We've
Totally.
said it too, haven't we?
We've said it numerous times. You were the first person to come up as well in terms of our guest list and who we want, and pretty early on. That was one of those great conversations, but also it took away some of the suffering at that moment because we were all so hungry and so tired.
Yeah.
And that was like the quickest 3 hours maybe
I think
of the
it
whole
is.
time. It flew in.
It did.
And then it was like, oh, we'll have to go.
I know, yeah. We were like, we've been sitting here all day.
And then it was
Should we
into
not
the
be
darkness
praying out
after
there
that.
in the cold?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I said that to you before, that when we were sitting there, when I think back on that, it was like there was this wee holy huddle of us all talking around that table, and everybody else and everything else around us just faded away into nothing. It was just so sharing faith stories and talking. It was just lovely.
We really opened up to each other for us all being a bunch of strangers. It
Yeah,
was just,
I know.
It was crazy.
Straight in deep into the trauma.
No
into
crying.
the
Yeah.
you were crying and all.
I was.
I
You're
nearly
bawling.
went. I nearly went. I held
I
back.
better not look at you now when we're doing this.
Oh, I'm
or
the
I might be
crier.
crying.
Yeah.
So obviously we were inspired by your story, and then what you're doing with Catholic Mothers Ireland. You're founder, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'd love to go back to your childhood a bit, or a bit about you
Yeah.
growing up and your story, and just hear more, because it's the stuff we don't know yet.
Yeah, I know there's a lot. Don't think we'll have enough time. No, so I grew up in the north, and I'm from Omagh originally, and in the 80s. And I just, like, at different times I've spoke about giving my testimony and that there, and spoke about growing up. I just remember it as a really dark time. Do you know, like there was all the conflict going on in the north. There were shootings, bombs, and police and army, British army checkpoints everywhere. Do you know? And when I think back about it, I just think of it as such a really dark time all around, you know. And I was like going through, I had difficult enough time at home as well. But I was born into a Catholic family. And I think in the north then too, it was like you were Catholic or you were Protestant.
Yeah.
And we would have went to mass every Sunday, but it wasn't the case that we had, it was just the done thing, rather than going now. Now I go to mass as much as I can because I just want to get to mass because I love going to mass. But back then it was, there was nothing. And I, as a teenager then, I just said to my mum, like, why are we even doing this? Like every Sunday was this chore. And didn't want to, none of us really were into it. And we all just stopped going. And then it's so funny because shortly after we all stopped going, I started getting this really strong desire to go to mass. Like, and I was only about 14 or some, I was still young enough. And we lived next door to Granny. And I phoned Granny and was like, will you pick me up and take me to mass? So I started going back to mass, but it didn't last long because again, I was just going through the motions, but I was really trying, but there was just that disconnect. I didn't have that relationship with Jesus. Jesus was still this, or God was still this foreign deity that was really detached from me and from the world. So that was mostly what it was like growing up, from faith wise,
What about whenever you fell out of going to church? Did you notice any kind of difference within yourself or your family life? That usually people say things change not for the best.
Yeah. I sort of, when I went to mass and then I stopped again, that would have been the time that I went off the rails. Do we've talked about this before, that you can go one of two ways, and I definitely did. I started drinking then. Like I wouldn't have been, going out drinking because I was only 14, but
Yeah.
I did sneak drink different times and got drunk, and it just started off a very bad cycle in my life then, that I all the hurt and emptiness, I suppose, that I was feeling as a result of different things that had happened to me. I just liked taking the drink because it numbed and blocked all that out. And that's the way things went through my teens and into my 20s. It was just drinking to excess and drinking to not even being able to talk or stand. Sort of, it was terrible. When I think back of it, I'd just be like, oh, it didn't suit me at all because, I'm not the type of person that needs a drink to get chatting. I talk even more.
Yeah.
When I've had a few, and I just get loud and louder. I just be thinking back and sometimes thinking, oh my goodness.
We've all been there.
Absolute disaster.
The worst is, the next morning you're looking over texts you sent, or, someone's telling you something stupid you did, and you're just like, someone kill me.
Well, thank God this was all before Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
So most of it has been lost to people's digital cameras back then. I don't think there was many phone pictures either, but yeah, it did. I did go off on a right bit of a downward spiral. And I always say that those years in my life, it was all highs and lows. Like things would be going well, and they might start going good, and then something would happen and I'd be down. And then I'd get back up and I'd get on with it. And that's, I'd be quite strong-minded and thick-headed, I always say, very strong-willed.
Yeah.
That I used to pride myself that I was like, if I got knocked down, I would just get up, get on with it and keep going on. But I learned the hard way. There's only so long that'll happen till I was just brought to my knees. And I had no choice but to turn to God then. And at different stages in my life, some of my friends who have faith would have been, would you go and see a priest and talk to a priest? Because this is just happening all the time, that this cycle, it was so clear to them that this cycle of up and down and up and down, and just, I was a mess. I was completely all over the place. But, I completely scoffed at the thought of going to see a priest. Like, what is a priest gonna do for me? Like, catch
Yeah.
yourself on. All that religion stuff's nice for you, but not for me, dear. And
What was your perception of it? What was your perception of the Catholic faith, the Christian faith, a priest? What did you think when you heard those words?
oh, I don't know. I just had no time for it at all. I did believe, I don't think I was completely that I didn't believe anything was there, but I just thought I had been through so much, and my mum and my brother, like as a family, we had been through so much. And I just thought, like, there's no one there, there's only us.
Mm-hmm.
Although, like, I would have said a guardian angel prayer, my guardian angel prayer. Like, I would have believed to some extent, but and priests, like, I just thought, they're no good to anybody really. Like, sure, what do they do? Go and say mass on a Sunday. That's about the height of it.
Your guardian angel prayer, did it bring you comfort when you said it?
Yeah, it did. And I think sometimes when as a child, I have a memory. It's quite vague memory of what was going on, but there was something bad happening to me, and I remember feeling okay because I felt like I was wrapped,
Yeah.
and I always felt that that was my guardian angel looking after me, and that during that terrible time, and nearly protecting me. That the bad thing that was happening, I wasn't experiencing it as fully because I was, to some degree. I
Holding
don't
on.
know. It doesn't make sense, maybe, but
Faith doesn't.
no, yeah. So, I was for none of it. Like, I just thought, my life is mine, and I need to sort it out myself, and that's how it's going to get sorted.
And we were kind of talking about this yesterday. Yeah, and in my own life as well, this kind of, you become the center of your own universe, and whether or not it's an outward ego, there's that it's inside you because you don't have that power, that ultimate power,
Yeah.
that creator. You don't have something that is higher than you.
Yeah.
So it's what Bishop Barron talks about, the ego drama
Yes.
instead of the theodrama.
Yeah.
And you're the lead in the ego drama. You write, direct, produce, star. You do it all.
Yeah, you do it all.
But it leaves
And that's
you.
why you keep falling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. And then I think the more you focus on yourself, it's just not good. It doesn't, it just sort of brings you down. Because if you keep looking inward at yourself, you're sort of bringing yourself into this ball.
That's a great point. That's a big topic of conversation now in the sort of psychological world.
Yeah.
This obsession with trauma. And a lot of psychotherapists are talking about it too. People become then defined by their trauma.
Yeah.
Keep reliving their trauma. And it's not to say that you just throw the baby out with the bathwater and psychotherapy is just wrong.
No.
But it has to be very specific for a specific amount of time with end goals. What people are actually finding now is exercise, nature,
Yeah.
and God forbid,
Fresh air.
God, religion.
God, yeah. Look up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I've said this before to Catholic mothers. I've even not just looking in at yourself. I find when you're working in the house or dealing with children that you're always looking down and you're this and you're so consumed with everything that's going on here and you're trying and everything seems to be going wrong. And then when you take that moment to just look up to God and be like, God, help me here, it just sort of lifts, because there's so much that can just draw us down all the time. So
when you look at the world too, though, the world sells us that kind of, to look to yourself, everything,
Yeah.
look to you, make your own life, that's the
Who needs that pressure?
Yeah. No, the world does sell us that though, and it takes us far, it removes us from God completely. They say happiness is an inward journey, that's kind of what the world sells you, but I think we're all testament that it doesn't, because we've been there, and you say in this cycle it keeps going round and round and round until we've all kind of
and you have
turned
to
God.
unlearn that, as well.
Yeah.
Like that takes years. I'm a long time, I wouldn't say convert, discovering a living relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe about 16 years ago now that I had that big turnaround moment.
Father Stephen says it's a constant conversion. You know, Father Stephen and Derry.
I know him. He's an Omagh man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Father Stephen's not. You're stealing him. He's a Belfast man. West, up the west. He's amazing.
It's it's constant every day, turning back to God and reminding yourself of that and becoming small, and not taking on that you have to do everything, just handing it over. And that's something that comes with time and making the mistakes, I suppose.
Yeah. The relief as well, Sinead, of just going, like I started doing this about 6 months ago. Anything that just start bothering me, like I looked at a way to address my anxiety that I always had.
Yeah.
So just literally going, Lord, I'm worrying about this. Will you please help me with it? Leave it with you. Like, simple.
That's it.
Get down on my knees and just do that, Lord.
It
It's
is,
this
but
or
that's
that.
our faith is.
And-
it is simple. Like, it's the world and ourselves that we complicate everything. Like, even as close as yesterday, I was having an issue in the last couple of days and something has been coming up and it's been bothering me. And I just said, look, I don't know what to do about this. I am going to just pray about it and I'll let it go. And then I got a phone call yesterday afternoon and it just really confirmed what I had been thinking.
Always happens.
It's happened
you,
to us so
Jesus.
many times, yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
And
it's that letting go.
oftentimes these things you think can't get resolved easily.
Yeah.
And there's an easy resolution to it in the end. Put your faith in Jesus.
Yeah, well, and Our Lady as well.
Yeah.
Lynette, one of the Catholic mums, she was telling us, say the prayer, just Mary, Mother of God, be a mother to me now.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the thing, jams that's got me out of, even in the house, and the house is in chaos and everybody running, racking around. If I'm about this close to a breakdown of telling everybody to
Sinead,
pray.
I'd love to just, before we get into when you kind of went back to your faith, just when this is just me as an ignoramus from Dublin and a traveller who can barely read and write. But when I hear Omagh, I think the Omagh bombing.
Yeah.
And it's sort of iconic, you know?
Yeah, no, well, that's how everybody knows Omagh, I suppose.
When was that?
It was on the 15th of August, 1998.
Right.
And I was on a Saturday afternoon, and I was of the age, I was around 15 or 16, and that age we were all going in religiously. Didn't go to mass religiously, but went to town religiously every Saturday. And we all, like, there was droves of teenagers. Like, we used to walk about and hang around at the Royal Arms and all, at the different entries, and that as teenagers do. But that day, my mum was away in England and I slept in and didn't get into town. But I was at home getting ready to go into town, and I heard the bomb. And like, we're a few miles out of the town, and I heard it, and I was like, what was that? And my friend came to the house and she said there was a bomb in the town, and I think she was like, there's supposed to be people dead, but it's probably the Brits because the bomb army, that's what we thought, the bomb disposal, that maybe it blew up when they were and then we were going up the road to her house to go into town still. And cars flying out of town and people screaming and crying and everything. It was terrible. And then her sister came home, and just the reality of it all then, that this hole was just blew in the middle of our town, and so many people died and hundreds more injured, and it was just heartbreaking, and it was like a whole week of funerals then on the news. It was so sad. And it's so funny that you ask about this, because this conversation has happened a couple of times this week about the Omagh bomb.
Really?
And I never went back into the town after that. If I had to go into town, it was literally go in, get what you need and leave. To this day,
Yeah.
I don't hang about.
Why?
It was just so traumatic.
It's just be a subconscious thing as well.
It was just terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it was
interesting.
heartbreaking, and knowing so many people that were injured. Thankfully, nobody close to me had died, and on the day of the bomb, my brother had been out staying at his friend's house, and I knew they were going into town, and he knew I go into town every Saturday, and we were waiting on trying, the phone lines went all dead, and trying to find family to make sure that, you know, nobody had been killed. My uncle actually drove me out to my brother's friend's house and like to get Ryan, my brother, and we just hugged each other when we got in the car, and we were like, I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead. And I think that like that has huge impact on you.
The collective trauma as well.
Yeah, like because you know I wasn't there and I didn't suffer what the people who were there and saw
Thanks
it all
be to
firsthand.
God,
Thank God, yeah. But like it had a huge impact on us all for years, and
Your
then
generation especially, yeah.
big time, yeah. Like because nobody wanted to go near the town for a long time after that. So it does, and you know, even that whole history of growing up in the north in the 80s, that darkness, like that has an impact on you, whether you're, because you are involved, because you're getting stopped. And then, especially as a Catholic, you know, you were getting targeted because you were a Catholic, or male family members were getting targeted because of being Catholic. Like it was a scary time, and you were afraid of getting caught up in a bomb or getting caught up in a shooting or mistaken for the wrong person. You know, like that has...
It did become part of the norm as well. It was almost like you desensitized yourself because you were seeing it. I mean, the police used to sit outside my house with the gun, and they say, can I look down your gun as an innocent child? You know, you become desensitized, but there is still something obviously you take from that into your adult life.
As you get older, because that's, I told my children, I was like, I remember British soldiers in the hedges at my mum's house, at our house. And I was telling them, I said they used to be lying and looking round through their guns, aye.
Wow.
And you know, the helicopters, you got so used to them
the noise,
flying about.
what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm used to them as well, just being from Coolock, you know. I'm used to them flying over my camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say though that my experience up in Tyrone, anyway, I was up in 6 Mile Cross. Do you know that place?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's only up the road from where I live.
Really?
Yeah.
My friend Colin Broderick wrote and directed a film up there, and I was in it with John Duddy, the boxer. John is Van Derry. John actually would have been one of my boxing heroes, and I ended up in a film with him. It was great. I had a great buzz, you know. But the people up there, they all call it God's country.
Tyrone.
But the people up there were just the most beautiful people.
Yeah.
And Colin's mother and father, like, just going to have breakfast with them every morning, and the people in the local village, they were just so salt of the earth.
Yeah.
You know, that's
good
actually
place.
the impression I got up there, you know.
Well, I have done different interviews on radio and things, and some of the Catholic mothers have this bet when they're listening to me, how long will it take me to tell everybody I'm from Omagh? Just to be sure, but that's more an accent thing, because if I say I'm, you know, because I live in Castleblaney now, I'm like, but my accent is Tyrone.
Yeah, I was saying that yesterday because I thought you were having to come from Omagh. I was like, you couldn't tell Sinead, she's till 11:30, and he was like, she's in Castleblaney. I was like, oh, I thought she was still.
You know, just thinking about something my aunt says, you know, my Aunt Mag, very strong in her faith, always has been, and like, you know, had a lot of trauma, lost 4 brothers and sisters, and, you know.
Yeah.
And she always says, if it wasn't for my faith, you know, I don't know where it'd be. I wouldn't be here anyway.
Yeah.
You know, how would that relate to you, and even wider to the people of home and the north in that time? Did you see that strong in some people, and how it might help them, like that sentiment, you know, with people?
Well, absolutely. Do you know, there was loads of religious services after that, and the people came together as a community. And now, looking back at that now, a part of our faith is community. It is that communion of coming together as one at Mass and in prayer that makes you stronger and helps you get through things. Even in my own personal life, like the difficulties that I had, it was terrible before I went into faith, but that doesn't mean, like, I still have difficult times since I came into my faith. But the difference is now that I have my faith and that I can do anything, you know, I can get through everything whenever I put my faith in God, that I'm taking it, it's beyond me. It's outside of me, that I'm not coming in on myself, because when I do that, that's when I fall. So that
When did you fall? When you know
the
that
final fall.
Yeah, I suppose
we
the
all
final
have
fall.
one.
Yeah,
It was, and
we do.
it was huge. I had was in a relationship, and it wasn't a good relationship. You know, I don't want to, I'm not saying anything bad about him. We just weren't good together. And then I ended up, I got pregnant, and it was terrible. I was devastated, because even though I didn't have faith, I was like, I can't believe I got pregnant and I'm not married.
Yeah.
So that was there with me on some level, that this, you know, knowing that I wanted to be in a stable relationship, but and I lost that baby, and
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, it was tough. No, but I think I went for the scan and there was no heartbeat, and they sent me home, and then I went in and I had to go to the hospital. Now, that was my first experience of pregnancy, and I didn't feel pregnant. It was like at a 14-week scan. So like you don't have a bump or anything like that there, none of that stuff. And I had been fortunate enough not to have any morning sickness. And I went to the hospital to go through the procedure to remove, you know, everything. And it was when I woke up. And I always say, like, I didn't know that baby was there, but I knew it was gone when I woke up. And I started this, I can't even describe this howling, this crying, and it just was from the very pits of my soul. That's the only way I can describe it. And the poor nurse was like over the top of the bed. I was in recovery, and it just opened something so deep in me. And over the next few weeks, things continued to deteriorate in the relationship. And my friend, the same friend that had always been saying, will you come and see a priest, said, I was crying in her house, and I was just like, I just feel like I am dead, like I'm 6 feet under, and that the grave's just being filled in now. That's how low I was at that stage. And she's like, look, will you please come and see this priest? And I was like, I will do anything at this point. And I was like, I can't go on. This is just, I just can't go on like this anymore. So she took me, she phoned him. Now, this priest is notoriously hard to get on the phone. He answered the phone, and I was there the next day. Do you know, it was such a blessing to have that. And she drove me and took me up. And he was praying with me. And then some things came up when he was praying with me, and he was just like, you know what? You need to leave. And I was like, what? And I was like, I come here to get help, and you're telling me I need to leave. And he said, yeah, no, you need to leave. This is not safe. There needs to be more prayer put into this situation for protection for me and for you. So he basically sent me away and had the country praying for me then. And I got my granny to pray for me and all my friends. And I still wasn't praying at that stage. Now, I took him seriously, and I was a bit frightened, like, why do I need to leave here? But, you know, he needed the spiritual protection. I had been living with ones in Derry, and they would have been into magic and witches and stuff like that there. So, and magic. I would have got caught up only on the peripheral edges of that. But it still obviously had an effect on me, because when he started praying with me, it had, his prayers were aggravating me. So he sent me away, and I was back at work, and all these masses and rosaries were being offered for me. And one night I went out to my boy, because we were still together, my boyfriend at the time. And I was just sitting in his house, and I just thought, God, this is just, he wasn't interested in talking to me. And I was depressed still over losing this baby. You know, like it just was really down over it all. And I was just like, right, okay, I'm going to go. And I just walked out and drove down the road. And I remember I was just sitting at the traffic lights from his house to the traffic lights the whole way. I'd just been thinking about, surely if there's God, this is not what life's about. This is not what life, God doesn't want this for people. This deep, deep, profound sadness that I had in my heart.
Despair.
Yeah, and I was sitting at the traffic lights and I was just like, God, if you're there, you need to let me know. I just can't go on like this. Is this situation what you want for me? If it is, I'll stay. But if it's not, I need you to show me, neon lights and big signs because I just need to know, and I'll do whatever you want. That was my very first prayer, that I had genuinely this conversation with God. I believed that God was there. I believed he was listening to me, and that I was going to do. I was so sincere. I will do whatever you want. And that was on a Wednesday evening, and then by the Friday evening, the relationship was over. I got my big neon light sign
Wow.
of that, get out of here. And I was just like, right, okay, that's it, done. And I went then that year to Medjugorje. I ended up going in the August, booked with a group, booked in with a pilgrimage that was going, but I didn't know anybody on it. And it was in the August of when I was due the baby. And I remember on the run up to it, I was so busy at work and getting everything sorted. I never really thought about it, but it was when I was coming up to it, we went to a few masses. They had masses beforehand to, pray together. And I was still very new in my faith at this stage. And I went to this mass up in Belfast. And these ones were all, dancing and praising. And I was just like, oh, what have I got myself into? These lunatics. And I was like, right, okay, just go with it, just relax and all this here. But I was a bit apprehensive then about it. And then when I went to the airport, I still didn't know anybody, and I was being a bit odd of myself, which is completely unlike me. I didn't know anybody and I didn't talk to anybody. I was sort of looking at all the people, trying to suss them out and read them, and then got on the plane, and there was 2 empty seats on the plane, and both of them were beside me, and that wee voice in your head going, this is you. You're going to be a whole week alone in Medjugorje. Why did you even come here? What is wrong with you? And then I was like, no, I'm not. Shut up.
Yeah.
I swung my feet round and popped my feet up. Isn't this great? I've got this whole seat to myself. She couldn't pay for it. And I went to Medjugorje, and I eventually then met loads of people that I'm still friends with to this day. And it was an absolutely amazing healing experience, to do that.
Yeah.
Tell us about the trip, how you felt, what you did there.
Yeah, it was in August, so it was really hot, which I was loving. And then I did all the stuff, went to the masses, went to the adoration and the veneration, and climbed the mountains, all of that stuff. But I think the biggest thing I felt when I went to Medjugorje was the sense of peace in the whole, on the streets and everything. I didn't go to see any of the visionaries, or maybe I went once, but I wasn't there for that. I was sort of
The peace.
yeah. And the veneration of the cross and the adoration, the way they do that out the back. Oh, it was powerful. You could feel Jesus present, the atmosphere, this just electric atmosphere out the back of all these, probably thousands of people were there, all praying and all loving Jesus, and it was just really good. And then I met so many amazing people, and we were talking, you've done your Cruceo recently, that's how I ended up doing mine. Most of those were,
dairy.
the dairy ones.
Yeah.
The dairy ones.
Dairy ones, they're taking over. Dairy
Yeah.
ones, we love them.
So I ended up doing my Curcio weekend that November up in Derry. And then I served a weekend after that, and I just really got connected into the community aspect of it, and then started getting more involved in my parish. And
By the way, thank God for your friend.
Yeah.
yeah, Mary, besties,
Yeah.
co-founder of Catholic Mothers as well.
Oh, is
Only
it?
for her.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, her and her husband, like they've been a real good. They've just always been there, sort of planting those seeds along the way, you know, and they
Yeah.
would have talked about openly about faith. And she used to give me they'd give me different wee books, and you know, maybe you should read this, and
So funny.
I'd be like, oh right, yeah, thanks very much, and put it in a corner somewhere.
Like one thing my uncle Manuel always used to say to me was that God will always come to everybody. I used to say about people, you know, in different religions and all. What about them? Sure, we're Catholics. What about the other people who aren't? He said God comes to them all. He uses other people the same way He has for you. So it's like your friend. God was sending your friend who already had her faith. My uncle Manuel and Sister Claire for me.
Yeah,
John has had, I don't know, loads of people really.
Loads of people, actually.
But there's always
Including you.
somebody.
there's always somebody,
yeah.
and there's always, do you know, I was saying this to you before as well. Like when you come into your faith, God will meet you where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're not going to be this one rattling off all your rosaries and daily mass and
No.
the, you know, doing the divine office and all this crack straight away. You know, there's just different for your different needs. And the more you come to deeper, you know, you're continually growing in your faith, and just take your time and do those bits and pieces as they come up. And
Yeah.
the people and the saints that come into your
the
life,
saints that
even,
all-
you know, at different stages.
It's like the more the relationship grows, the more you want to do these things, and it's an act of love, basically. That's what it becomes, because it isn't like this distant, far character in a book. You know,
No.
it becomes something real, something personal. And I think it just grounds you and makes you more rooted as a person yourself.
Yeah. Well, then, because my first prayer was, I'll do whatever you want,
Yeah.
you know, I'd err
have
on the
to.
side of caution then when you say things like that, because you're held to it.
Yeah.
Is that how our Catholic Mothers Ireland became born then?
No, but it is how I kept going.
Mm-hmm.
I think whenever I got married, and so I was in Omagh, and I was involved in the parish there and working and doing loads, and then I got married to John, and John's from Castleblaney, a farmer. So I was like, well, you have to move. I'll have to move to Blaney, because you know you can't move the farm.
Yeah.
And I moved down the road, like, and it was only an hour. It's just over an hour out of Omagh, but it was huge shift for me. It had a far bigger effect on me than I anticipated,
Mm-hmm.
and I went from being in the center of everything in the parish, on the baptism team, and you know, knew the priests and just called in, chatting to them, you know,
Your
and all
community,
my friends. And then moved down there, and I knew no one, and you know, it was just a complete culture shock to move. And then once you add children to the mix, it just becomes much more isolating. And I had planted before I was married, so me and her moved down, and then I got pregnant, and it was twins. And then you know, I wanted a big family, so then I was pregnant straight away again after having the twins. And it was during that pregnancy that I was just like starting to get really overwhelmed with it all, and went to adoration for the Pentecost vigil. Like already from 2014, you know, I had been talking to Mary, my friend, and we had been saying about the importance of having these Catholic faith-based friendships for our children.
Mm-hmm.
So we were organising meetups and going to play parks or going to the soft play areas. And we started doing in 2014 the All Saints party. as an alternative to the Halloween. And then it was in 2015 that when I was at this Pentecost vigil with the sisters in Drogheda, the Franciscan sisters, that I had this huge, because I was struggling on me, with feeling isolated and not having anything to go with. And you can't take babies to prayer meetings.
Yeah.
And then talking to other friends of mine who were mums, mostly newly married, and experiencing similar things. Or I knew a friend that was going through one thing and another friend that was going through the same thing. And I was like, we need to get you two together because you could help each other. So during adoration that night, I just had this huge moment of, you need to set up this group a group for Catholic mothers, because this is before that it was like, that just our friends, whereas it became abundantly clear that there was a huge need for this, that I wasn't the only one feeling like this. And in an increasingly secular world, you do stand out like a sore thumb when you're trying to live your faith, because it goes against everything that we're taught. And how we think about things. So that's basically how it started. So that's 10 years we're going now. But
amazing.
For a good number of years, because I was always, we were always having children. I have 7 now altogether. So it was busy. And most of the mums were busy. So it was only by word of mouth that people heard about us, and we'd invite 1 or 2 more. So it grew really organically, and we would still go to the soft play areas. We were doing our All Saints party, doing things like that there, and it still kept growing. And then it was whenever 2021 I got COVID, and really, really desperately ill with it. Like I was at home for a good week before I ended up thinking, I think I need to go to the hospital, because I couldn't breathe. And I was admitted to Drogheda Hospital on the Wednesday. And then I was, at this time, we had been praying for another man, Carlos, who was in hospital, and he was on a ventilator, and that it was due to complications from COVID or something. And we had been praying a rosary. There was a rosary every day praying for Carlos. And I just felt so sorry because his wife had just had a baby. So I was praying for this man. And then the next thing, then I had COVID, and I was at home praying for this other man and praying for myself. And I was pregnant with baby number 7 at the time. And so I just said to John, I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I'm not able to breathe. I was suffocating the night before. Like I was waking up, not being able to catch my breath. So he had to drop me at the hospital. There was nothing we could do.
Right.
Loaded the car with all the children, and I got out of the car, and I was just so ill. And I was just like, right, bye. And walked in, and I remember walking in thinking, I hope that's not goodbye forever. It was serious, like, because there was no way I was avoiding the hospital. Like I was sick a good week at the house before or more, before I went near the hospital. And then they took me straight in and they got me on oxygen, and I was put into a room. They had no room in the ICU. So I had all these, like, I was put in a side room, and they were x-raying me in the room because I was too sick to be moved. And they had the maternity team, the medical team, the COVID team. It was just this, like, loads of people. And I don't remember much, but I was being ventilated non-evasively. So that was just masks, oxygen masks, where they were forcing oxygen into my lungs. And I remember the consultant coming in to me, and he was just like, look, I really don't know what to do. He was like, you're so sick. You're the sickest person in this hospital at the minute. This was in Drogheda. And he said, I'm trying to get you. He was going away that weekend, or he was off because he had been working so much. And he said, I'm trying to get you a bed in Dublin because, I don't want to leave and then for things to get worse over the weekend. So that was on the Friday, and then I got word that I was being transported to Dublin, and they got me all packed up and into the ambulance and blue lighted me to Dublin. I was lying in the back of the ambulance going, it's a bit much. Like, I'm not that bad, am I? Still completely delusional that, I thought they were just, I wasn't as bad as they were making out. Like, no call to be, I think we were in Dublin in about like 20 minutes or less. But we went, and at that time, so I went into the hospital on the Wednesday, the Catholic mothers had been praying, right? We're going to start praying the rosary on the hour. Everybody, they did up a whole rota from like 6 in the morning to 10 at night. And then on the Friday, when the word came through that I was transported to the ICU in Dublin, they started getting up in the middle of the night. They did a 24/7 rosary.
Amazing.
Every hour on the hour. And anybody that was doing the 3 in the morning or 3 in the day were doing the Divine Mercy. And anybody that was doing 12 and 6 were doing the Angelus. And like all through the night. And I just thought, wow, I don't know if I would have done that for people. Like, I would have prayed for them, but like getting up in the middle of the night, deliberately choosing, and thank God for them.
Yeah.
Because then, but I was deteriorating, like only 25% of my lungs were functioning. And then I was added into the rosary for Carlos and another man as well called Michael. I can't remember his surname, but I'll always remember Michael praying that the three of us were being prayed for, and my unborn baby. And so I was in isolation on the Friday night when I arrived to the Dublin, and on the Saturday morning they wheeled me into the ICU ward, the main ward.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, feeling particularly sorry for myself at this stage, and happened to turn round, and who were they wheeling me past? Only Carlos, who I had been praying for. And Carlos was like the sickest man in Ireland. And I was like, why am I here? Like, this is for the really sick people. And then I started thinking, oh gosh, I am. Right, that's me then too. But Michael died on the Saturday then. And I remember reading the messages. Like, I could barely hold my phone. But I was trying to keep, because I thought I need to focus on something other than, not being able to breathe. I was trying, distracting myself. So I seen all the messages coming in, and I saw that Michael died. And I was just, at that point on the Saturday evening, I thought, oh my gosh, Michael died, and Carlos is going to die, and I'm going to die, and my baby's going to die. I just was like, we're all going to die. That was how it was on the Saturday. And I was not getting better the whole weekend. And on the Monday, I had been refusing. I told them I didn't want to be put into a coma, because there's a high chance that you won't come out of it once. If they ventilate you and put you in a coma, the chances of coming out aren't great. And especially because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
My history, I had pneumonia when I was younger, so I already had a weakness in my lungs, and I was overweight. And I just thought, like, this is a death sentence for me to be put in a ventilator. But on the Monday, I wasn't getting any better. I couldn't wear, like, they had these big masks on me, forcing all this oxygen in, but I'd be quite claustrophobic. I'm getting short of breath talking about it. So I couldn't breathe, even though there was like all this oxygen being forced into my lungs. I felt like I still couldn't breathe. So I just started thinking, right, they're going to have to, and I wasn't eating, they're going to have to just ventilate me because I'm not getting better. And I spoke to my husband, John, on the Monday evening on the phone. And I just said, look, John, they're trying to put the feeding tube in and it's not going in, but they're going to keep trying. And I'd say once they put it in, they'll put me in a coma. And I was like, will you make sure that they don't turn the machine off until the baby's big enough to be born? And he was just like, no, we're not having this conversation. Do not go there. And he just completely shut me down to the point that, like, when I told him that this is what happened, he was like, that didn't happen. He just completely was having none of it. And he was like, you need to talk to the children. I hadn't spoke to them at this stage in 2 weeks. And this is like, I'm a full-time stay-at-home mother, 24/7 with my babies, and hadn't spoke to them. So I was like, I didn't want to because I couldn't breathe and I was very breathless when I was talking and I didn't want to frighten them. So
So you were pregnant. How long were you
I was
pregnant?
20 weeks pregnant. So they were just basically, we'll keep an eye on the baby to keep the fetal heartbeat. That was all that they were checking, that their focus was getting me better.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pregnancy, if the baby had been born, if that had sent me into labour, they won't do anything until the baby's 24 weeks. You see,
Considering what happened to you already with the miscarriage, and then you're in this place again, your own life is threatening a child. Like I can't imagine where you're at mentally.
yeah. Well, it's devastating, and well, my whole focus was the children, that they were okay, and the unborn baby. Like, because that was what I said to John. I was like, don't let them switch the machines off till that baby's old enough to be born.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? So, because I was thinking that that's the way it was going to go. But so he started putting the children and he put them on an age order, so oldest down to youngest. And I was talking to each one of them. I was only able to have a conversation. They didn't know what to say, and I wasn't fit to chat. Completely out of character.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to John Paul, and at that time he was only 2,
Mm-hmm.
and his wee tiny voice came on the phone, "Mummy, where are you? I miss you." And it was one of those moments, the same as when I woke up in the hospital those 16 years before, after losing the baby, that it just woke something in the depths of my soul. And I was just like, I'm not dying. That's it. And John came back. I said, put Daddy back on the phone. And I said to John, have you been praying? And he was like, yeah, well, we're offering up prayers and, during the days and asking God to heal you. And I was like, no. I says, we need the rosary. I said, the Catholic mothers are praying the rosary 24/7. I need my husband and my children praying the rosary for me. I said, you are going to get me out of here through your prayers. And he was like, right, that's okay. I said, I mean it, get off the phone and do the rosary right now. So we got off the phone and he got them and they did the rosary every day, kneeling in front of the statue of the Blessed Virgin in our house. And I got off the phone and I was just like, right, God, I'm not dying. I'm not ready. I'm not finished. I know you have more for me to do. And I've told you once and I'll told you again, I will do whatever you want. And I was like, all these people are praying for me. There's worldwide prayers, not let alone Ireland. They were praying. Catholic mothers in the UK had been putting out prayer requests. The Home of the Mother put it on their worldwide broadcast.
Amazing.
Do you know, it was everywhere.
It's the power of community, though.
Absolutely. And I was like, I open myself up to the graces of all these prayers. I accept them all. I trust that you're going to heal me. And then I even started talking to Carlos, because he was opposite me. I was like, Carlos, come on now. You have to get home to your wife and to your children. You fight this. And I was praying to his guardian angel to get him out of this as well. And I was just so like, nah, that's it, not today. And I'm going to survive this and I'm going to fight it. And the next morning, all my levels started rising. My blood oxygen levels, everything started. That was on the Monday night. By the Wednesday, I was out of ICU. And the following Monday, I was home.
You give me goosebumps.
I know. Wow. It was a completely miraculous turnaround. And I was home with my children that following Monday night. And I was just so thankful. But there was still, I was ill. I was still very ill. It took me years to recover. And physically, I'm still recovering. And it's 4 years this year. Trying to get my health and fitness all back. Because I was pregnant and there was still I was having to go to the hospital on a weekly basis to make sure that the baby was okay. They did not expect me to carry him to full term. And I did, and he was born and he was
How old is he now?
3.
I met him via Zoom.
Peter, Peter the Rock, Peter the Rock Strong.
Oh, I love it.
And then we called his second name is Raphael because Raphael means God heals.
Yeah.
So it was just such a miracle, and I was so overjoyed to get home to my family. And I think the Lord gave me a bit of a reprieve. So I got the rest of my pregnancy, and a few months. And then someone said to me, so did you ever think of doing a retreat for Catholic mothers? And I says, I tried doing different talks and stuff and it never really took off. You know, it just didn't happen. And I was like, I must think about it. And then somebody else never thought of doing a retreat for Catholic
You
mothers.
being
I said,
told.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, God, is this really what you want? And I could hear that voice. You said you'd do whatever I wanted.
Mhm.
And
You
I was
know,
like,
before you get into that, you know, just in my head, I'm going, this is amazing because what happened to you with the miscarriage of your first child,
yeah,
and that eventually led you to Catholic Mothers Ireland, where you
Yeah.
ended up in that hospital bed again with another child in your room, but this time you had all the support of the community that you founded and created with the other lady,
yeah,
Mary.
Yeah.
And through all them coming together out of this creation,
Like
Catholic Mothers Ireland,
unbelievable.
that's amazing.
It is like
People
they
with the
were.
rosary beads.
You
It's
cannot
really
beat
amazing.
Catholic mothers, and even better again, Irish Catholic mothers.
Yes.
Absolute force to be reckoned with.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. So like,
The retreat, sorry, I just thought it was amazing. That turned like the way that went. You know?
oh, and then like when you think about it, that time I had COVID, we had a WhatsApp group for the Catholic mothers. There was 40 of us. Like when we started meeting up back in 2014, there was 7 at our first meetup, and it was just all friends of mine. Like, and we all knew each other in one way or another. And then by this stage, there was 40. And then the following year, I started, whenever someone said that, so I asked a priest, Father David in the Dominicans in Dundalk, what did he think of the idea? And he was like, well, we're open and we will fully support you if you want to do it. You can have it here and come back to me. And then I started putting the feelers out with people, with mothers.
Yeah.
And it just snowballed to the point that I had no choice but to go ahead with this retreat and even Father David rang me and he goes, I hear we're having a retreat here. And I was like, it just sort of lost the run of itself there, Father. I'm so sorry. And he was like, no problem at all. We had 75 women at that first retreat.
Amazing.
And now we are running 4 retreats a year. We have a Catholic Mothers monthly radio show on Radio Maria. I do a Catholic Mothers column for the Net magazine. We have a website. We have brand, logos, the whole
Will
work.
people get those t-shirts?
Yes.
Where?
If you contact Catholic Mothers at catholicmothers@outlook.ie, you can send me an email and we'll get you sorted. But like it just exploded, and now the community's up to nearly 700
And
women
also any
from all over
mothers,
Ireland.
any mothers out there who are in faith and are listening, they can reach out to yourselves as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the
700 going strong.
going strong,
Growing.
yeah, and growing. And like we have the 4 retreats a year. We try to hold them all around in the 4 provinces. So I'm booking for next year. I have the first 2 for next year booked, and even so far as going into having ones booked for 2027.
Wow.
Like there's just
Sinead.
such as
You
the
just did
need.
Croagh Patrick, didn't you?
Yes.
I
My
did
legs
Croagh
are
Patrick.
still kilt.
I did it 4 times, but I never got to do it with a mass in that beautiful little church.
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. So we, as part of our 10-year anniversary celebrations, I wanted to do something for spiritually for Catholic mothers. So I was like, well, we'll do the pilgrimage. We'll do 3 days in Lough We'll climb Croagh Patrick and we'll have a day out in Knock. And then I was talking to Maureen in Lough and she said, last year, she says, we've had meetings with Croagh Patrick and Knock about doing a pilgrim's passport because those are the 3 national shrines for the Jubilee of Hope. And I was like, this is amazing. So if you do those 3 shrines, you get stamped, you get a wee passport, you get it stamped at each shrine, and you get a badge. And I was like, so
I mean, you'll have to go back.
I needed the badge then. So yeah, we did Lough that's where I met yous in May, and then we did a family day out for the Sacred Heart Crusade in Knock, and we did Croagh Patrick on Sunday past.
Amazing.
And I actually made it to the top. Physical impossibility, but it was through the
Brilliant.
grace of God.
That's it
That is
always.
tough.
It is.
That is very, very
Yeah,
tough.
like, and I'm not physically fit at all at the minute. Like, I am building on it, but
You're fit enough to be able to get up there.
I know.
Because
jeepers,
that is tough.
it was. And we got Father Mark Quinn did mass for us. I phoned him. I got his number ages ago, and he was ordained just a year ago. And I rang him and asked him, would he do the mass at the top of Croagh Patrick? Would he be open to that? And he was like, yeah, brilliant. I would love to do that. And it was it turned out to be so special, and it was unplanned by me that it was the last day of his first year as a priest.
Wow.
So this was like the eve of his first anniversary, and priests, when they get ordained for their first year, there's an extra graces with their blessings when you receive a blessing. And he thought that it was lovely that his first blessing as a priest a year ago was to his mother and his father. That was his first blessing he gave. And his last blessing in his first year was to Catholic Mothers Ireland.
Amazing.
What was the mass like itself?
It was lovely. It was really good. I felt sorry for all the ones that had been waiting for about an hour or more because it took me the full time to make me way up to the top. But no, it was lovely. It was so special. It was a bit surreal. You know, it was very cold and windy at the top, and you couldn't see around you.
I was going to ask that, 'cause it's 365 islands there. In a good day, you get to see, and it's amazing. Like,
but no, like we were over halfway up, and then the cloud, you just couldn't see around you.
I was in mass the other day. They do a 8:30 mass some evenings in St. Saviour's Church there in Dublin, beside the Rotunda Hospital.
Yeah,
and that was first of all, a stunning church.
Chapel, yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's just art. It's beautiful.
It is. You need that.
The attendance there as well. There was a great attendance in that place, you know.
Yeah, that's the Dominicans there as well. You know, I think those older churches definitely, they touch the soul. You know, that the older art and things like that, and that's drawing people as well. But it's so needed, and it's so good. Like, we can see that through the Year of Hope as well. There's definitely the Pilgrims of Hope, the Pilgrim Passport that the Shrines did in Ireland. Like, it really struck a chord with people. People are really getting on board, and there's so much happening because it's a Jubilee year. Like, there's loads of things, walks and pilgrimages to the different shrines, to St. Bridget or St. Columba. You know, loads and loads of things happening. And a lot of the groups, you know, I've been talking to other groups, and there's much more collaboration, and people are realizing that there is this need that we have to work together, that we're not all islands. We have to be a community, and you know, at the end of the day, the end goal for us all is heaven.
That's one thing Father Darn always teaches us, is that it's universal. You know, we are all brothers and sisters in Christ, and to be open to everybody.
Exactly.
So 100% agree with that. I'm conscious now of time here as well.
I think we're all right for a few minutes anyway. Just on the universal, actually, I went to New Jersey recently, and this St. Vincent de Paul church, and I ended up in this church, and people from every different background, and it was just amazing. It really is the universal church, you know, the black, white, Asian, me, a traveller, in the middle of it all, you know, and this lovely priest singing happy birthday to the church for Pentecost Sunday.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
Know? And I don't know what happened. I kept getting drawn back to this church, like. So I Googled one day, was there something going on there? And there just happened to be a centred prayer meeting. And I said, I'm going to chance this, you know. I don't know what centred prayer is. Yeah. But I'm going to go. And let's see this universal accepting church, and if they'll accept me for whatever this is.
Yeah.
So I was walking down the road, and this Kenyan woman in her 60s was walking down with me, and we kept looking at each other, and she was going, are you looking for the centre prayer? I said, yeah, I'm looking for it too. So an old woman came out, she's in her 80s, came out, 70s. And she said, are you looking for the centred prayer? I said, yeah. And she runs it. She's run it like 25 years. So we go in, and I don't know what the centre prayer thing is at all. And we sit down, and around the table, and there's 12 of us, like the 12 apostles, right? And the women, some of them were in their 90s, like in their 90s, like, and they were so welcoming, so warm, like beautiful, like just totally acceptant of me, and I'm the only man in the room as well.
Yeah.
The Kenyan lady was like the second youngest. She was in her 60s.
Wow.
They started explaining what centered prayer was, but the first line was, welcome our two new travellers. And I just thought that's a little God incident, you know. And we start reading a passage about, it was about transforming as a person,
Yes.
you know, and transforming spiritually and all of that. But loads of things along the way about temperance and gluttony as well. And this was me in the last 6 months, like, and I was so mad. And he went around the table and asked me, what would you say about that? I said, this sounds like what I'm undergoing actually in the last 6-7 months.
Yeah.
When I really decided to address the spiritual health.
Yeah.
It's mad, these God incidents, but
Yeah, it draws everything together. And I think it's good when you're on your journey that God just gives you those affirmations that you're on the right track. And like, as you say, that's what the whole thing is about, is being welcoming to everybody. Because I would have found before I came into my faith that people are so quick to judge, you know, because I went off the rails and I did so many stupid things.
We all have.
And I was like, so now when I'm in my faith, I think back to how I was treated for my behavior. And I thought, if I see somebody going through that, I don't judge them or condemn them. I think, what have they been through that's causing them to be that way?
Yeah.
And how can I love them to show them that they're not on their own, that they've got people, you know, we've got you, we're here, and, you know, you're loved and you're worthy. You're worthy of that love. You don't have to keep choosing that wrong path.
Yeah.
what would Jesus do?
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
That's
ask
the
each other.
question. Like, I was walking through New York and I was going to some dinner, some silly big dinner.
Yeah.
And a woman shouted out, someone please help me. And she was a homeless woman.
Yeah.
I was already about 100 feet past her and I was going to this dinner. And she said, I'm hungry. And I just said, what would Jesus do? And I thought to myself, I'm rushing to go to some fancy dinner for I don't know what reason.
Yeah.
I really don't know. And I'm running across town for this. And there's a woman actually hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go by her. Like, it's a powerful question to ask yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And listen, it's Jesus, so you're always going to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're never going to meet the standard
Yeah.
of Jesus. But if you put yourself in the shoes of Jesus or the mindset of Jesus, what would Jesus do? It really does
Yeah, well, it's
make
about
things clear.
Yeah, it's about realizing that it's not you doing it either.
No.
That
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like Father Mark said on Sunday, it's not what we achieve, but what Christ achieves through us.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That's
So
it.
that we, like, I know that I'm not able to do these things, you know, everything to do with Catholic mothers. I do a certain amount, yes, but I'm just like, you need to do this, God. I don't know what I'm doing here. And it just
When you were
goes.
speaking there earlier, a thing, you know, came to me was, how do we change people's hearts? It is by showing the light of Christ from within you. And it's not from, Father Darren would always say, not bashing a Bible, because the minute you do that, people walk away.
off, yeah.
It's through your actions, how you live, and then something's changed in you. My family will keep saying to me now, you seem so happy. You seem
Yeah.
so happy. Well, that's what happens whenever you end up finding something in you that gives you a purpose.
Well, it's your relationship. It's how you relate to others. So your relationship with Christ, you need to reflect that then in your relationship with others. Because, you know, you can fall into a trap of thinking, oh, well, they don't live the faith. So, you know, I can't really be associating with them. But,
No.
you know, my thing is that with people, that I'm there for them so that then when they need it, that they're on the phone to me. I need prayers. Will you
Yeah.
pray for me?
Yeah.
Or, you know, will you get the Catholic mothers to pray for me?
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you're there, that you have that trust with them, and that's how you convert people
That's it.
through, that
Absolutely.
you love
It's the
them where
seeds.
they are, and you try to show them the way through how you're living, and they want what you have, that
Yeah.
happiness, that deep joy
Yeah.
that's just can't be described.
You know, Sinead, but everything you went through and you finding God and him finding you, what advice would you give to someone who is lost and maybe in despair? Just general advice, and maybe even something practical they could do in terms of faith, or trying to find faith, or to search a bit?
Or like even a mother struggling too.
Yeah.
Well, stop believing the voice in your head that's telling you that you're on your own.
Amazing.
That nobody, you know, that, like, that's the big thing you're not on your own. There is someone out there who has been through what you're going through or is going through it. There's support for you in the church. Reach out to your priest, find out, connect. You need to connect. We are better when we are with others. We're made for community. That's what we're made for. We're not made to be on our own. And yeah, that's just what I would, try and reach out and make friends in faith, find out what's going on around in your parish and just go. I went on my own to stuff, and it was frightening, but it was good. And it's, it's the way to go, I think.
That's a lovely message to leave it on.
Yeah.
Sinead Strong, Catholic Mothers Ireland.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Honestly,
Sinead.
it's been amazing.
God bless you.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.